cards in hands is a phrase that I wrote down for myself to remember this idea behind what I wrote down. So this cards in hands, this mental image of the cards in the hands that are still being able to be played by oneself, I think is kind of the best image, and so I wrote this down for the idea I had about this. The main idea is that I take ideas I had in the past and I try to compress them, and thereby also possibly lose data, but then in order to basically transmit this message to my future me. Now, what does cards in hands mean? It might mean not telling somebody about your new goal, because then one might already get the social reward, basically the clapping, oh yeah, that's cool that you have this goal. And then it seems to be the case that, at least there were, I think, some studies where then the reward already was given and somebody was less likely to then fulfill a certain task they were given. So I can't remember quite the study, but it seems to be that there is somewhat of this effect. Now, there also, anecdotally, I observed this effect on myself again and again. If I told just people too much of what I'm actually planning to do, then I'm just less likely to do it, because it already, as maybe also mentioned by the study, maybe there is also a, in this case, nocebo effect playing with this, or contributing to my experience of this. But it seems to then be the case that I just feel too good. And therefore I think. So basically, I'm allowing myself, whenever I'm feeling like I'm making good progress, then I allow myself to basically now skip a few steps here and there, and this is when I get, when everything then eventually becomes lopsided. So I allow myself to be less conscientious and less worrying about the future. Of course, this might be a cycle. This might be a cycle of being too much and then being too little and then again and again. But what I often notice is that, especially if I'm basically thinking I'm doing well, that then I begin to digress already. And I then take the first steps to digression already. This might be deviating in terms of nutrition, this might be deviating in terms of how much, in terms of time efficiency, for example, how much, or let's just say, how much I allow myself to not bear. This maybe would be the easiest explanation of this. So a card in a hand is also an idea that to a certain extent applies to social relationships. If one just listens, for example, and doesn't tell everybody about all of the ideas one ever had, and about maybe also all of the negative things that are associated with the person that is oneself, then one is more, so basically one is more of a plane that can be drawn on, basically of an empty, I don't know, it's not an empty cardboard, but I cannot remember the thing of the name of the thing where you paint on. So one is basically, other people might be able to display more of what they actually want you to be onto you, to a certain extent at least. And the more somebody then tries to basically tell the other people exactly what one is about, which one could argue is not that consistent anyway. So every person you ever met, or every person I ever met, has a certain image of me which is based on their experience. Similar to with words, I have basically associations with these words, might be similar to an LLM, that basically I have this one node, and this one node is connected to all the nodes that are connected to this one node, which in this case maybe would be a word. And so with people, it might be that people associate basically the sum of all the thoughts they had, or the sum of all the experiences they had with me, in this case, to this node, which is then basically the mental image of me in other people, and the same would also apply in reverse for myself with other people. And so one basically can construct, to a certain extent it seems, the reality of other people, or the image at least of other people, based on what one is doing. I actually probably am loosely basing, even though not intentionally, but much more subconsciously, am loosely basing this on something Robert Greene recently said in a podcast. Maybe not recently, but I just listened to it recently. So the cards in hands is this idea that there is something that is still to be discovered. And as soon as there is nothing to be discovered about something, which does not need to be a person, then it gets boring. And it gets boring not necessarily because it should get boring, but it just gets boring because there is nothing new. And because there might be a bias towards novelty, towards discovering new information, that this then eventually just means that if one knows already everything about something, this could be that I know everything about the flat I'm living in and there is nothing new. But if I now every day try to improve it a little bit, then I wake up and I see this and I remember the little bit of dopamine that was associated with this, and I remember, oh yeah, I'm basically seeing evidence that I am currently, at least given on the average, based on the average of the last couple of days, I'm at least improving my home at least. And so the more of these breadcrumbs of progress that one sees in a given day, and this could also be with another person, the more one tries to, not one tries, but I then often find that I begin to believe in this future that could be better, because there is evidence for this. But if the rate of the evidence showing up is also declining, for example, then this might also already be a negative change, a regress in this regard. And so the cards in the hands is also the opportunity to just play a card whenever one feels the need to play a card. And this could be in not necessarily only social relationships, but it could also be in something else. Not that I am